Well, it's been a tough last 10 years for department stores in Canada, from Nordstrom, Sears, Target, all giving up on the Canadian market, and now HBC now joins the group.
So for a look at what kind of legacy and gaping holes in malls Hudson's Bay leaves, we're joined by retail analyst and advisor Bruce Winder. Bruce, we've talked to you about this so many times. It is really strange to wake up in a country that doesn't have a store that's even older than the country. The Bay was just so iconic, anchoring so many malls. What does this, though, Bruce, mean to malls around the country with all these thousands of square feet open?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's really weird to wake up today. You know, first time since 1670, there's no bay in Canada. But yeah, it means there's going to be a lot going on with some of these malls. Now, we've been notified that about 28 of the leases of the stores are going to go to Ruby Liu, who's a West Coast billionaire, and she's going to redevelop it into some form of store. We're not sure, some kind of mixed, department store. But and some of the other leases have been allegedly spoken for, maybe at least bid on by folks like Canadian Tire and a few other retailers. So you might see some of that space become existing Canadian stores. But then the rest is a bit of a wild card, right? You might have condominiums, you might have pickleball courts, car dealerships, gyms, sort of you name it, really case specific depending on the property.
Yeah, Bruce, and it's interesting because we're not seeing kind of the same thing happen in the U.S., but here in Canada, we're looking at old viz of Sears. I remember my mom used to work there, Eaton's as well, and then we know that Nordstrom failed to, find life here. So what is it about the Canadian market? Is it the lack of population that we have compared to the United States? Is it people's shopping trends with the emergence of online retail? What's contributing to this downfall of department stores?
Yeah, kind of all of the above. I mean, we are a small market, right? We're not, our population density isn't as great as the U.S. We're not as wealthy as the U.S. too. We don't have the incomes that the U.S. has. And you're right, department stores have just kind of lost their shine, right? A lot of the millennials now don't think of department stores, and a lot of folks buy online now. So when you add it all up, it's just a really tough sector to compete in.
It's interesting, Bruce. I noticed a lot of Canadian Tires are sort of getting revitalized or kind of reworked over, and they're putting all these lockers in the front of the stores to sort of, so you can order online, come into the store and collect. What is this sort of, I realize Canadian Tire doesn't sell, suits and dresses, but the number of products or SKUs it has is enormous. How does Canadian Tire succeed in this market where a Bay, for example, doesn't, or is it not a fair comparison?
It's just a different comparison, right? Like Canadian Tire specializes in different commodities. They're all about automotive. They're all about sporting goods. They're all about home. And at least for automotive and sports, they have those kind of locked up in Canada. So they're like the destination for those. So they have a different product mix. They have a differentiation strategy where things are a little more expensive but higher quality, exclusive brands. And they've been able to sort of survive that way.
Yeah, and in terms of kind of big box stores, I see Walmart is still around. Target didn't last, but obviously that's a different model, and that's affordability. Whereas department stores make up high-end stuff, it looks like it's really gone off to these individual retailers. Okay, Bruce, I'm afraid we're out of time, but thanks so much for joining us. Always a pleasure. Appreciate your thoughts.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the program. Have a great day.